Salutations, I'm StarLotus77, and today we've got a amazing build for you guys, because it's the builds, not the weapon here. So, the Hellfire SMG, 7205 for its damage stat. There's not very many weapons that have a damage stat below 5 digits. So, yeah. This weapon isn't exactly that good by itself. Now, the dot damage is really good with it being 91k if you round. The magazine's quite low for the fire rate, but that's fine. Not a big deal. Here are the other items here. We're running the Old God with this Action Skill and Anointment. It's better to run that than it is to run the Frozen Heart or the Revolter in this case. And the reason why here, you're able to increase the actual dot damage of the SMG with this, and you're getting another elemental bonus applied instead of getting the Revolter where you're losing on an elemental bonus. And I don't have another one that's not shock right now, so right now I'd be losing 2, but technically you'd only lose 1 because you can change this to radiation maybe, because I have corrosive on here. So we have a lot of crit damage here. Then you go over the skill tree. So green tree, all-rounder for survivability, Headsman's Hands and Iron Man Flint crit damage to elemental damage. So with this you're getting crazy elemental damage bonuses from your crit damage. Eraser for bossing. So if I can line up a shot, it gets to increase the damage by a bit. Got cooldown, reload, fire rate, cooldown, damage, movement speed, reload, life regen, fire rate, more damage, more damage. Duct tape mod with the P-Nade to remove dot effects from myself sometimes. Yeah, that's the build. Donnybrook is overrated. Let's get started. You see that? I mean, like, the damage on it is actually pretty good. Like, with the builds, the damage on this is actually pretty good. You just have to put in a bunch of effort to make it good. But at least it's viable in the sense that it can kill things. There have been several people who posted videos on, like, the Hellfire and its downfall with how it was introduced into BL3 in comparison to the other 2 games. Because, like, this weapon came out in BL1, and it was a pretty good weapon back then. One of the best SMGs. It was a Maliwan SMG back then, unlike today, where it's a doll SMG. Like, why'd they make that change? But that's besides the point right now. So, there have been people who've been making videos on that, like Hellfire himself, the official Hellfire. Not. He made a video on it with Cashew. They're both amazing content creators for Borderlands 1 and 2, and Cashew does Borderlands 3 stuff. But they've made a video on the downfall of the Hellfire SMG, and I was like, alright, so I'm going to make a build with this item. Then I saw a whole bunch of other people start trying to do that recently. Like, I saw Moonbase Tom live streaming about it, trying to make this gun look good. He was starting an EP shenanigans. I have no idea what he was on. It sort of makes sense, but I'm also just like, I don't like the EP. Not my style. I'll run it on Amara, because then I don't have to dot myself with a weapon. I can do it without a weapon. Also, that was an amazing eraser shot. It's like this weapon actually isn't doing pretty. This isn't doing terribly. It's actually doing pretty well. I mean, it's clearing it. there were... Ooh, I got something else I want to talk about a little bit. So, there are some people that I watch, like Star Killer. He's been an amazing content creator. I disagree with him on a couple things when it comes to the differences between BL2 and BL3, saying that there's only a limited amount of items or builds that are viable when it comes to endgame BL2. But we also have different definitions of what endgame BL2 is and why some items are not viable. So when it comes to that argument, the generalization of items are not viable in all content, that's just wrong. There's definitely content that all items can be ran in BL2, like story content, beatdown content, any of the story-based difficulty content. That's fine, it can run it. But the only thing that is like Maliwan Takedown for BL2 is Raid on Digistruct Peak. And Raid on Digistruct Peak is probably the most, in my opinion, the most balanced content in BL2. I can go in there and run just about anything, and if the build is good enough, I can get through it at some point. Whether or not it takes 2 hours or not. But when it comes to like raid bosses, the health regen stats on some of them, or just like their functionalities and how they work, make it almost impossible, if not impossible, to use specific weapons and gear that are of legendary variety or higher to be able to get through it. And don't get me wrong, BL2 overall, it is overall a better game. The aspects that I like about BL3, the specific aspects I like about this game are what make me play it more than BL2. It's not that it's a better game. But the endgame content for BL2, it's mostly raid bosses. And if you can't clear the raid bosses, then you're not doing real endgame content except Raid on Digistruct Peak. And so how many builds and how many items can actually clear raid bosses? And I mean, like, even now, I would also bring up the argument of the multiplayer scaling. If it was possible with a multiplayer scale to do it with those other items, I'd be down with agreeing that it's viable. But if it takes 2 hours or longer to do content that any other regular build, not even meta, just like a regular build, like a casual build for endgame can do, because if the casual endgame build can do under like an hour in a content, then 2 timesing it for a challenge run's fine. But if it's like a 15-minute to 30-minute run normally and it takes 2 hours, that's a touch much. I mean, like, ADR constantly gets on me about how it's like, if it takes 30 minutes, it's too long for Maliwan Takedown. I'm just like, okay, buddy. I would like to see you attempt to run some content that is, well, run some unorthodox builds that are getting through Maliwan Takedown in less than 30 minutes with some stupid stuff. You try it. Bring it. Let's go. I mean, like, a lot of the items that I've been running now, it takes me like 15 to 30 minutes to run it, and I feel like that's a good time for Maliwan Takedown. 15 to 30 minutes. It's a pretty good time. Within that 2 times mark is usually fine. If it takes an hour to run Digistruct Peak normally, and I'm just used to being, I'm just not at a casual level that I actually think I am. Then I guess I can understand it being considered a viability for that content. But then it's only viable there because there's very few areas you'd be able to run that in an actual content. It's, I think Starkiller and, Garnet Anarchist, I think that's how you say it. I'll pull it up in a minute, because I'm gonna link both their stuff in the description. Everybody that I mentioned here, I'm probably just gonna shove in the description. But a lot of, like that run that they did, because I watched them live stream, I think it was yesterday. They did a Digistruct Peak run with nothing, with no unique items. I mean, there was one technicality of like the Bone in the Ancients, if you consider that a unique or not. It doesn't have red text, so they didn't consider it, and I can agree with that. But it's also just like there's only like one real drop point for it, so that's arguable. But either way, that's so insignificant. It's like words. People say that, okay, here was the point that I was trying to get to here. People say that the Hellfire SMG isn't viable. If this isn't viable to you, then you literally can't give the argument that 90% of the items in BL2 are viable. It's literally not possible. Because I can run this in more than Maliwan. I mean, like, when it comes to raid bosses, there are no real raid bosses in this game that I can really test it against, other than Wotan and Valks, which Eraser can do that for me. And even then, it still does really good dot damage against other enemies. Alright. We're gonna slide down here so I can reproc this. I am slightly annoyed because I just did 2 flawless runs, 0-second wins, and I am getting downs now, so this is kind of annoying, but oh well. And for those curious that exclusively play like BL2 and don't really know BL3 very well, the reason why enemies die when I melee them is because I have Groundbreaker, which is a Guardian rank skill that takes all of the damage that you dealt in the last like 5 to 10 seconds. I forget what the direct number is. It's listed on this on it actually. Let's pull it up. That's not it. It's down one more. Last 5 seconds. So in the last 5 seconds, all the damage that I've dealt gets applied to my next melee attack. And so all of the damage that the Hellfire is doing in those last 5 seconds being dealt to one enemy. Now, this does not include status effects. This does not include, well, I mean, like, it sort of does. But it's just melee, so it takes all of those effects and it just does it into one melee. And so when something dies from that, then that's just extended Hellfire damage. Because I don't have anything that's buffing melee scaling. Alright, so depending on how long the Wotan fight is, this is going to be like the midway point for these weapons. And I mean, like, if this is a midway point weapon for my videos, then this is a decent weapon. I say that because, like, some of the other stupid weapons that I've ran in here that are definitely viable, that can abuse random mechanics, are just really good for content. Oh, hold up. Okay, there we go. Hey. Get out of my face. What are you doing? There we go. Okay. I have lost my focus like 3 times while trying to speak. I'm still getting used to this whole commentary thing. It's whack to me. It's like I'm not used to making videos yet, despite the amount that I've posted on the channel so far. Not used to it at all. It's like if you want good commentary, go view one of the other channels that I've either talked about in this video or prior videos. But see, it's like this weapon being a fire weapon does pretty well at dealing with Wotan here. Get away from me, wackos. It's like I'm not running a hustler, I'm running a spy, so I can't land crits from down here because he just doesn't have a crit spot anymore. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to find one of these heavyweights and do this. There we go. Show off a racer a little bit. Look at that dot damage go. Alright, so a really neat thing about bottom half here is he has multiple hitboxes right there. And so you can just eraser him through his head. I also deal just good damage. Look at that dot damage killing the final boss there. Gun dot damage from the Hellfire. And I mean, like, there are other status effects that are really helping it out, being corrosive variants of the same status effect or whatnot. But it's like, if this can do this, then most other weapons are very much potentially viable, especially with how much people dog on this weapon and the low base damage of it. Again, 7205. Like, come on. This is the kind of stuff that I mean, it's like, I feel like every legendary item, when it comes to weapons, should be viable in some sort of build. And Borderlands 3 does that. The problem with Borderlands 3 is the content is overall too easy for all things, because I kind of just breezed through that. There was no real threat of loss at all. The only time that I actually could have potentially died is from Valks when there were no ads to kill. And if I got down against the Valks and just got stuck with no ads, that was the only threat that I had. Otherwise, this was a pretty threat-free build. Specifically, Sigdrifta is probably the scariest Valk because she gets arounds all-rounder. The other two only get around it if they melee. But yeah, that's a pretty good SMG for this setup. Outside of this setup, it's probably not very good. I mean, looking at what Moonbase Tom did, it's kind of spooky because he's really good at making builds. So you know what? Let's throw this at a boss. Let's go throw this at a random boss here, just to showcase. It's like it's not just here for Maliwan Takedown. Now, of course, this definitely is not starter beginner friendly build. Most definitely not. I mean, if you have a Hellfire, isn't too bad to get. It's not. It itself isn't too bad to get. You get it from Jabber Mob Y if you kill it with a fire weapon. The Spy is probably the most difficult thing to get, other than like perfect passives on both of these items. This is the most unrealistic part, are the passives on these, because this really easy to get. DLC 2, you can farm any of the bosses in that, or any of the mini bosses or rare spawns, and you'll probably get it. The P-Nade, you get this from the from the duo in Tanis's Labs map on Pandora. And the way you get it at that low level is, well, I'd simply set up a second character, go on to Mayhem 1, and kill it over and over again with a low-level character, level 31 or so, and then at some point they drop it with Anointment, and then I just re-roll the Anointment. Got 0 dot procs. That is super annoying. Oh well. Oh, there's a dot proc, and he's dead. But yeah, that didn't take too much to kill Gravy. How about we go kill Trons? How about that? Let's go to which Tron do we kill? Not though this doesn't have a Tron at it. Let's go here. Actually no, he's resistant to fire, isn't he? I don't remember if he's the one that's resistant to fire or shock. He may be both. I'm an idiot. We're going to this one. Alright, so if I remember right, I can just travel here and then walk back out and then go around. You know what? I'm gonna check and see if Mithril has a video on this item. No, but K6 does. Literally the top result of it being a part of his weapons that he hates series. I'm not gonna say the actual word saying that it sucks, because I don't curse. But yeah, top search result when looking for the Hellfire is that it's a bad weapon. So hopefully we get to show off a little bit that you can use it. It is possible. Is it something that I recommend to casual players? No. Is it possible to use if you want to have fun with it? Yeah, 100%. You can play with it. It just takes a lot of effort. Yeah, right here. Hey, big guy. Now, he is resistant to corrosive, so that is a big portion of damage loss from that. Oh, look at what Eraser does to him. Just absolutely shreds him. And he's dead. Oh yeah, that was pretty good. Alright, yeah, that's gonna be the end of the video for you guys. Freaking Hellfire SMG go burr, I guess. That was pretty fun. Not exactly the best for a single target when it comes to not running Eraser. For big bosses. Or bosses that are resistant to any of the elements that I'm primarily focusing on. But it overall, it works out pretty well. It got through true Maliwan Takedown, it can kill bosses. It just takes a little bit more time than most other weapons. Not even a statistically significant amount of time. Yeah.